We have finally reached a huge milestone in the mystery mold creations on YouTube. I can't believe how many weird and wacky pottery items we have made together, how far we have come. We have opened 99 molds together. You have been here for the fails, the lessons, the experiments, the gaudy, the whimsy, the magical and the kooky. This is my thanks to you for being a part of this journey so far. It has been such a beautiful growth in all aspects of my creative skills, and I couldn't have done it without you. Now it's time to reveal the 100th mystery mold I found on Gumtree. Welcome to the 100th mystery mold we are revealing. I keep tearing up watching that introduction. Like, I cannot believe how far we've come, and I'm like choking up already. I feel like 100th is just such a huge milestone. So I wanted to thank you so much for being a part of this. It's just been a huge achievement, and so grateful. So this one is huge. I think some of you have already guessed it. Well, I know some of you have already guessed it in last week's mystery mold comments. I looked for a mold that looked like something I've been searching for, and I thought I'm going to risk doing a bigger mold for the 100th mystery mold because I really just want it to be the finishing piece of this 100th collection. I poured this one up, and I actually had to get my studio assistant to help me tip it out, and I opened it up to reveal what I had hoped for. A gorgeous teapot. So if you know me, I have been asked this a number of times. If I could find my dream mold, what would it be? And it is actually a novelty teapot. So a novelty teapot is where they are teapots that are disguised as something else. So whether that be like a dancing pig or a house or something else, they are just weird, wacky teapots. Unfortunately, this isn't a novelty piece, but I'm going to make it my own novelty teapot. So here we are. I decided that the way I wanted to do the 100th mystery mold was to not only do the 100th mystery mold, but bring a number of the other mystery molds back for this end reveal. So here we have one of the molds that I'm using, which is the bee mold. This one was number 97. So I've poured a number of these bees up, and I've kept them in a moist container so that when I poured the teapot, I had enough bees to apply around for the design. And I'm scratching and scoring and then adding slip to both surfaces, so both the teapot and the bee, and then attaching them. That actually probably sounds like I had extra foresight and I made all the bees ahead of pouring this, and just knowing that I knew what it was. But actually, I actually poured one teapot, and I'd planned to do 2 teapots in this reveal, but I underestimated how much time this design would take. You'll see in a minute why it took so long. But I underestimated how much time, and I also underestimated how tiny my kiln is again. So I could only fit one teapot in at a time with a couple of other things in the kiln. I decided to prioritize the teapot that I turned into the novelty teapot instead of doing the one that I was just going to do floral designs on. But maybe I thought we could decorate that together early next year. So I decided to keep it aside, and maybe we can plan something together. So this wouldn't be a great reveal if we didn't add a tea setting to this teapot. I decided to pour one of the saucers and the set of 2 teacups, and I'm going to make these match in with the teapot by adding bees to these as well. The whole idea behind this tea setting is I wanted it to make it for me. A lot of the mystery molds, I sometimes try styles that you guys suggest and try things that I haven't tried before and styles that aren't usually my typical style. But for this piece, I wanted it to feel like the accumulation of all the skills I've built up over the time and bring it together in an original design that I've always done, but just elevate it for this tea setting. When I first started pottery, I had actually done a sketch of this tea setting, this exact tea setting. It's sitting in my diary. I keep sketches of ideas for all the time because you just never know when you're either going to get burnt out and forget those ideas, or maybe you're overwhelmed with all the ideas. So it's just nice to have a sketch of some ideas you've had and you can just draw from them and go, you know what, I'm going to focus on this sketch. But really early on when I started pottery, this is like 4 or 5 years ago, I drew this little design of doing a teapot setting with flowering gums all over it. The only thing that's different from this sketch is my skills and my confidence in myself has grown so much that I am making this so much more detailed, so much more intricate than what I had originally intended from this mere sketch. Firstly, I have attached these bees to the teapot and teacups because I want to make it look like the bees are floating above the flowering gum trees and collecting some gorgeous little bits of pollen. And I wanted them to feel like they stand above the piece but also feel very immersed in the piece. I could just see it in my head and I feel like it's coming together quite nicely. The next part of this teapot was I wanted it to have a very painterly feel, like my usual style. I want it to feel like it's a collection of layers and time and detail and brush strokes to bring the depth of the piece together. I always feel very daunted when I do painterly works because with pottery underglaze, I've said this time and time again, you need a few coats to make the color really pop and to really pull from the piece. Otherwise it can be quite muddy. So when you're doing a painterly kind of style, it makes it really tricky to gauge how many coats you've done because you're sort of adding layers and layers and layers, and some of the colors could be quite washed out. So it's always a bit of a risk doing this sort of style when you're painting with pottery underglaze because you can lose some of those details if you haven't applied it enough and you've lost track of where you've applied more of the underglaze to. Regardless, I think it adds to the overall finish and the overall aesthetic of it feeling like a painted piece. On that note, I did want to discuss something about pottery. I know this is the 100th mystery mold, but I thought it was really an important reflection I've had this week is that when you buy a piece of pottery, you're not just buying a mug or a cup or, you know, something that you can get from $2 at your local general store, I guess. I get comments like this all the time, and I think that this piece is just such a proof of what I always talk about, is that you can't measure the cost of a pottery artwork at the same rate as a mug that you could just get from a normal store. The reason for that is for so many reasons. It's like all handmade things, is that this piece is not just, I haven't just crafted the canvas myself. I haven't just worked on all these things and carving it and making it perfect to work with, as well as firing it, as well as glazing it, as well as taking photos and getting it ready for sale. I have also spent my time making these unique individual artworks as if you have bought an artwork from an acrylic artist painter that you're going to hang on the wall. And so when I look at this piece, I just don't know how I would charge for it because it is such a beautiful artwork. It is literally, it needs to be framed kind of vibe. It needs to be put in your cabinet and looked at and only touch it for special occasions because it's just so precious. And sometimes I think that that is lost in translation in society at the moment because I think people measure it at the same rate as a normal mug and a normal teapot and something that you can get mass produced. I can share anything about what potters do and what ceramic artists do is that we create usable artworks. We create artworks that you can admire and hold in your hands every day. And for me, I value that more than a painting that I can hang on the wall. And I just hope that one day people will see pottery as the price point that it is and understand why that price point exists is because you get to hold this artwork. I mean, how many times have you gone to the museum and you're like, I just want to touch it. I just want to touch that. And you get to touch it. You get to touch it. You get to hold it. You get to use it. It gets to be a part of your ritual day. Handmade pottery is just on a whole nother level. It just cannot be compared to something that you could buy from the store. And so it goes with any handmade business. Someone's passion, someone's joy, someone's skill and development of their trade has gone into every single one of those pieces that you now get to hold and enjoy and preserve for the rest of time. It's just such a beautiful thing to have and to hold and to own. And so whenever you look at a handmade business, especially pottery businesses, please promise me you won't compare the prices to something that you see in a general store. That's all I'm going to say about that is value your artists, value your pottery, value the work and the skills that people contribute to the world, and understand why artists price things the way they do. So this piece took a number of hours. It took me a number of days. I came back and forth from it, and I was actually so nervous I wasn't going to get it done in time. On top of that, I not only painted this teapot, but I also painted 3 saucers, 3 teacups, and 2 milk jugs that go with the set. The reason why I did 3 teacups and saucers is because I wanted a set of 2, but I was so nervous that I wasn't going to get the 2 out of the kiln in time that were perfect, so I had a spare one, a kiln sacrificed, so to speak. So I made an extra just in case I had any issues. Same with the milk jug. I was only going to do 1 milk jug, but I decided to do 2 just in case one didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, so that the end reveal is just such a beautiful collection of work together. There's no issues or faults with them. There is a lot of painting footage in this week's video, and I want you to just enjoy the process of building up this artwork. I wanted to just share some reflections I've had with the 100th mystery mold, and some of my language makes it sound like this is the last mold, and I apologize for that because it is not the last mold. It's rather a segue to the next chapter or the next season. I treat it like this is a series and this is the first season, and we're going to go into the second season, and it's going to be new and revamped, and it might be better, it might be worse, I don't know. You know, most of the time is pretty good, but we'll see. For me, it is the end of this chapter, and it feels very sentimental in so many ways, and trying to articulate that is it's really quite tricky because I started mystery molds in lockdown in 2020, and it was a time when I had just started posting really actively on social media in video format. I was already doing quite well with my pottery, but I thought I would dedicate time to doing video content, and the mystery molds were going to be my sort of, this is my video content and my other work is just for me. And I didn't realize when I posted that very first video that day how much my life was going to change, and how much my art practice was going to change, and how much I was going to fall in love with the process of the mystery mold discovery. It feels so sentimental to be at this turning point of 100. This is the last one for the year. Wink. The series will be in a new space next year. It will be slightly different because of what I have control over in the new space. The fact that I have control over lighting, sound, I can do more face-to-face talking and reactions as I open the mold, which I'm excited to do because you don't get to hear how I go, oh, that's cool. So I'm really excited for that. And I've also noticed an increase in people that are coming here to be creatively inspired, that are doing their own small business and want to learn more about pottery. So I'm really excited to introduce a bit more of tutorial content and actually talking through how to do things and how to make things, because I do interject it throughout my mystery mold videos, but to give a dedicated video to certain things that you want to learn, I am really excited to be able to do in the new year. So this is the end. This is the end of this era, but the beginning of some really exciting, wonderful things. And I know we're going to create so much magic in the new studio. I can't wait, but we are celebrating this huge milestone, and I'm just so grateful and thankful for you for making it happen. This has been the part I've been dreading of this whole process, because glazing is actually really scary. So much can go wrong with the glazing. You can put too much on, not enough on. It can bubble, it do little pinholes, which is where it leaves little, literally pinholes in the glaze. I am very nervous. So I first start by pouring the glaze in the center to make sure that the internal parts are all glazed up, and then it was time to dip them into the glaze. I was actually so scared to do the teapot because it's so big. The piece has only been bisque fired, so I didn't want to touch or move the bees at all. Even though they are fired and baked on, they're still very fragile, so I had to dunk it very cautiously, and I had to do one side and then the other side. The thing about the glaze at the moment is if you put too much on, it can be quite murky and bubbly, and it makes the design look overall quite muddy, and I have been having issues with my glaze recently. This batch of glaze is a little bit tricky to get right. I'm usually fine with my glazing, but this batch in particular has been really watery, yet it goes on so thick. So I have been just adjusting it to get it just right. But yeah, I've been so nervous because so much time went into this. So I just went for it, in it went, and then I dunked the other side, which actually worked out great because I didn't have any fingerprints to touch up. Oh, it was so daunting. It looks like I did it so easy, but I was panicked. I was so stressed doing this. The next part was even more stressful. Was we're putting our lid on top of the teapot, and we've known from past videos that when you do this, it can fuse together. So if you haven't sponged off enough and you haven't got it just right, it could fuse together. And because of the way that lid sits in the teapot, I'm so nervous it's sitting against some glaze. So I am holding all my fingers and all my toes crossed that this doesn't fuse together, because I'm going to be devastated. I was actually anxious all morning waiting for this kiln to cool, but opening it up, it is stunning. I am so impressed. I haven't had time to react to the teapot yet because I'm not reacting until I know it's done. So here is me getting the lid off and my reaction in real time. Goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh. Ah! It's so cool. Oh wow. Oh. It worked. Before I show you the finished results, I wanted to show you that I've created a t-shirt with the 1 to 100 mystery molds all over it. I love that we could all buy these and wear them together and show that we watch the series and be this cute little community out in the street. And the wonderful thing is all the drawings are blank so that you can get fabric markers and color them in yourself if you want to. I've got a link in the caption so that you can pre-order them. Now let's look at the finished results. You know how you save the best for last? This is the best thing I have made in this whole series. Hands down, I love so many things. But this has everything. It has all of my energy, it has all of my joy, it has all of my passion just accumulated onto the one piece, and it brings me so much joy. I am so proud of it, and I wouldn't have been able to do so much detail in such a beautiful piece if I didn't have the predecessors, the previous molds, to give me the skills, the confidence, and the ability to even achieve these results. I have never loved something more, and I love that they kind of have this whimsy of like a Japanese blossom, but make it Australian, and I think that that's so sweet. It's just an Australian twist on a tea set, and it's just making me feel, I'm just so proud. I'm honestly just so proud of these, and I hope that you love them so much. Even the design of the flowering gum that I've done a lot of times, I usually strip it back quite a bit because I'm, time sensitive with getting pieces done. But this one, I really said to myself, I'm going to put as much detail as I can within the limits of the underglaze to bring this tea set to life. Now let's go and enjoy this tea set and have a celebratory tea party to celebrate the 100th mold and the success of this teapot. I'm just setting up for the final setup of our 100th mystery mold. And I have one more little thing to share with you. It's from YouTube, and they have sent me something very special, which I'm so glad it came in time for this video. So let's open it. Then you can hold back the tears. I can't believe it. It's just like so nice that they recognize creators and the work and the community, and this is so special. And I'm so glad I got it to hang it up in the new studio when I finally move in. I just thought it was perfect timing that my 100k subscriber plaque came the exact same time that I'm doing the 100th mystery mold. It's just like right time, right place. And what a way to celebrate the 100th mystery mold. So here I am setting up a tea party in the new studio, which is kind of really amazing that this is where the future of the mystery molds will be, and this is where we're going to be creating some really cool things. I wanted to say a massive thank you to Mrs. Brown Bakes for helping me celebrate this week by creating these gorgeous rainbow cupcakes and macarons. So let's enjoy this party. If you've got a tea, a coffee, a water, a cupcake, or even just a little snack, I encourage you to enjoy it with me right now. As always, I would love to know what you think of this week's mystery mold. I am literally holding back tears, and I've had to record this a number of times. It just feels like such a sentimental piece and a new chapter and an exciting time to end the year with this piece. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Thank you so much for all your support throughout the year, throughout the whole series. I am so grateful for you. I adore you. I love you. Thank you so much for supporting my channel and showing me the beautiful community that surrounds the art world. This is the 100th mystery mold from Gumtree. Thank you so much for watching. Handmade pottery just can't compare to the things that you see at a normal store, especially when it's wasp!